Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to all our lovely viewers for joining me on Youth Matters with me, your host Sakina Habib. First and foremost, I would like to extend my heartfelt wishes on welcoming the blessed month of Rajab, which is a spiritual commencement for the believers and for the revival of our souls. Also, don't you think it's been a great start to the year 2023? And indeed, Alhamdulillah, we're in this beautiful month of January of the year 2023, and we should be so happy looking forward to continuing our journey in this year with the start of this beautiful month of Rajab, which is filled with so many blessings and mercy and barakat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I think that this is a great opportunity for us to connect our hearts spiritually in order to harvest our souls by preparing it to achieve its highest peak. And not just, let's also talk about what realistic goals are we setting for ourselves this year? How do you want to make this year great with some new changes, something to boost ourselves and make ourselves better? And how can we seek closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, meaning the qurbat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and also how can we be consistent in making 2023 the year that we want. So there is a lot that we will be discussing on today's program. And it will be a very beneficial episode, inshallah, I'm sure, for all the viewers. But to continue this discussion, I would like to be joined. In fact, I would like to invite my two very special guests. Sister Uzman Naqvi, who is a holistic transformational life coach, and Sister Malihe Elias, who is a teacher, poet. She's also a translator and a writer. So I would like to welcome both my sisters on board. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Walaikum assalam. Thank you for having us.
It's indeed a pleasure. Thank you to the both of you for once again taking out your precious time for today's program. And I would like to say a happy Rajab Mubarak to the both of you. It's so lovely seeing both of you, having both of you on today's program. I'm so happy to start the month of Rajab with the both of you, inshallah. Okay. So let's first start with our first question. So, I mentioned in the beginning, in the start, that, this year we also want to seek closeness, qurbat, with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And since it's the month of Rajab, I think that gives us a lot of opportunities to do so. And I remember Sister Malia Elias was really excited and eager to talk, especially about the qurbat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how to seek that qurbat and closeness with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, Maliha, I will first ask you so that you can share your idea and, your thoughts on this. Yeah. So how can we seek closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. I would say that first of all, make Allah be a part of everything that you do in your life. Don't just limit him to the prayer mat. Don't just limit him to reading the Quran. Make him be a part of everything that you do. Go on walks and have Allah be there with you. When you're walking through the forest or whatever, wherever you walk, as you're looking at the trees, or if it's raining or if it's snowing, if you live in Canada like myself, feel God's beauty and let that just be a moment between you and God. Let that be a moment between you and God, and also make God be a part of your goals. Meaning, in a sense that I can speak for myself now. My one of my goals for this year is to be more physically fit, and whenever I head to the gym, even when I'm running on the treadmill, I keep on reciting the salawat. I keep on reciting shukr Allah, shukr Allah, shukr Allah, because that in itself is an ibadah, because your goal is to improve yourself so that you can worship Allah even better. so that you can have a stronger connection with Allah without any hiccups or anything. So again, it's all about making Allah be a part of your everyday life. Every day, whenever you drive to work, you thank Allah for giving you work in this difficult economy that we are all living with, and for giving you the opportunity for you to earn halal income. And yeah, it's all about making God be a part of your everyday life. That's what I would say.
Thank you, Baliheo. I really loved your answer. It was like everything was so relatable, something that every individual out there can really benefit. Though I really liked how you said about the part of earning as well. Sometimes we take it for so granted. We don't know how people are struggling out there just to earn this halal income. I think this is such a important point that you've highlighted. And when we see other people who are below us, we should be so thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that at least we are in a much better position, and that we should be so grateful and thankful to him for blessing us with really so many ni'mats around us. Sometimes we just don't realize it, we take it for granted. And yes, the part about walking, exploring nature, this is something that I don't know why, but people sometimes take it as something very like, not as in something that will probably not add value in your life, but it actually does. You understand you understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created this beauty for you, and He wants you to feel it, and to appreciate it, and so many other lessons one can really take from it. And if we are to talk about, are we looking forward to giving quality time to ourselves this year, Sister Uzma, from your perspective, from your life coaching perspective, being a holistic transformational coach, what would you want to add from your reflections?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. First and foremost, thank you so much, Sister Skina, for having us here today. It's a pleasure to be with you again. Sister Malehe started the conversation on a very beautiful note, being mindful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that's what we all strive for. That's what taqwa really is all about, that every single step you take in daily lives, that you should be aware and connected with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And one of the best ways to do that is to really check in on your heart. I think this is something that we often neglect. Heart is something that's mentioned in the Quran over 100 times, and there is a huge significance for purification of the heart. And I think if we can think about sort of in whatever we involve ourselves with, aligning our mind and our heart with the fullness, the wholeness of who we are, and embarking on any journey, any goal that we set in our lives, we are bound to be really strong in that. Oftentimes the mind is saying something and the heart is saying something else, and there is a misalignment. And because of that, there is a conflict internally, and we're never really sure. We're kind of indecisive. Sometimes we're sat on the fence about things, even if we have really good visions of where we want to be and how we want to see our lives unfold. We still can't feel like we can do those things. And one of the most prominent things that stops us from doing that is the fact that we're not aligned internally. So we have to think of ways for really connecting the mind and the heart. And I think one of the other things that we have to sort of have in our mind is about dua. I think this is a concept that we should talk about a lot more, because there are many people very frustrated about dua, and we're asking for things and it feels like our dua is not accepted. And I think that one of the things that we need to talk about as Muslims is that there is a common misconception that when someone is faced with any challenge in their life, or they're trying to do something in their life, achieve a goal in their life, most of the spiritual advice from spiritual leaders and generally people that are in our lives, people who love us and care about us, is that make dua and everything will be okay. And we cannot negate the power of dua. Obviously, we all understand that dua is a very, very powerful thing. We should always be praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Who else would we turn to? But I think that we should the reliance is there. Reliance is absolutely there for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but the dua is like a twofold step. There is the dua, which is the tawakkul in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and seeing your life unfold. But then there is your actions as well. And your actions will not be aligned if you're not, if your heart and mind alignment isn't there. So I think these things, when you put them together, it makes a really good package of where you're headed and why things aren't working out. And when we're passive about it, we're not really sure about why we're hindered. But if we can sit with whatever's going on and really kind of figure out what we're praying for, where we think it's not happening, why it's not happening, and where our action is perhaps lacking or we're not aligned internally, there might be a conflict somewhere. So if we can keep that in mind and go all in for our, from our part, we should do absolutely everything, and then leave the rest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because we don't have control over everything that goes on in our lives.
Thank you so much for sharing. Yes, Maliha, please go ahead.
It's so beautiful what Uzma Baji said about how some people, they ask for dua, but then they get disappointed that this was not answered. I think that sometimes, and this is me speaking from my own experience, it's not answered because you have convinced yourself internally that this is not going to happen. So for example, if I really want something, and in my mind I've made up my mind that this is definitely not going to happen, but let's give it a try, let's talk to God. If you're not confident in yourself that this is going to happen, if you're not manifesting that energy to pull that hajat towards you, then there's really no point in asking for Allah, because you've already made up your mind that nothing is going to change, and you're only praying to God as a formality rather than as a necessity, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Very
And
well.
I'd like to add a little bit on that as well. Sister Maliha is saying a beautiful point, which goes back to aligning the mind of the heart, right? If you aren't fully, if you don't have a solid faith about it, obviously that's going to have a hindrance. And a really simple example of that is that I often talk about this example that if two people went, if I and Sister Maliha went into a mosque or somewhere, a religious gathering or something, and both of us were praying for something that we really, really want to happen, and if Sister Maliha had absolutely zero doubt that whatever she's asking for, the important thing with that, asking for and having the conviction, is that you're still not attached to the outcome. When you leave it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that is what tawakkul means, that it's going to come to you in a profound way, but it may not be exactly the way you want it to be. So just having that realization and not being so hell-bent on, I want it and I want it this way and this way only, and if it doesn't happen this way, it means Allah isn't listening to me. So we have to just have that clarity that we're not so caught up in giving the importance of the outcome in the way that we want it. So the example I was given is that if we're both going there and she has this conviction and she's not fully attached to that outcome, and then I go in and pray for the same thing or something that I really, really want, but I'm like, okay, I'm praying to Allah, I believe in Allah, I love Allah, I know that he's listening to me, all of that, but then in the back of my mind there is this little bit of a doubt. I'm just not sure. I'm praying, and I really hope that there is a desire that it happens, but I am not sure. I'm not aligned. That has such a gigantic impact on how your life pans out, because it literally is. Allah says in Hadith Qudsi that I am to my believer how he or she sees me. If I see Allah as an entity who may not listen to me, then that's what I'm manifesting in my life. But if I have absolute conviction without a shadow of a doubt that what I'm saying is reaching, and how it's going to come back to me, I'm not attached to that, but I know it's either going to be a lot better or it's going to be the way I want it, but I'm just going to let go of my attachment to the outcome. That is a really powerful dua.
Definitely. We should not underestimate the power of du'as, and we should do it sincerely with a good intention. And as you said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not our enemy at the end of the day. Obviously, he knows what's best for his, the person whom he's created, for us human beings. Now, if we were to, many people have this question, would pose this question, I'm sure, that how can we be consistent in making this year the year that we want? So I'll ask Sister Malihe first that what would your answer be to this question?
My answer would be to look at it like this. You know, you really want to lose weight or lose fat or whatever. Okay, when you jump on the treadmill, are you going to change the speed immediately to number 8? No, you're going to start slowly, and then you're going to advance to the higher numbers. And you and then the second thing, if you, again, I'm going to bring the gym reference into this. If you want to lose fat or if you want to lose weight, are you just going to go to the gym once a week and then eat fast food for the rest of the days? No, it requires consistency and small steps. You cannot just jump right into the deep end of the ocean and then say, yeah, see, I'm swimming here. No, it's all small steps, okay? And you need to be consistent in those small steps. You cannot just expect a miracle to happen right when you take the first step. And then another thing, give yourself rewards when you take each step and go easy on yourself. Sometimes you can lose motivation, and that's fine. It has happened to me too. Slip-ups happen, but it's all about how you're consistent with your walk towards your progress, your walk towards your goal. How badly do you want that goal that you're willing to even crawl towards it? It's all consistency and discipline. Motivation is temporary. You're not going to be a motivated person forever. Motivation is temporary, but discipline is forever. You make sure that your core, your discipline is right there.
Yes, and I think we often come through situations at this as these, as you mentioned. Sometimes it's like human nature. If you want to achieve something, if you want to attain a goal, you want to have it in your hand like as fast as possible. And sometimes, we tend to lose our patience. And when we, do things very hastily, we make like it becomes a mess. You don't get that at the end of the day, and then you regret even that, okay, I really should have calmed down a bit. I should have taken some baby steps, should have taken a step back, should have analyzed the situation in a more critical way, and I could have probably achieved a better answer or goal or whatever vision I have. So like you gave the example of, for example, going to the gym and working out. So many people, I'm sure, out there would agree with me that, in the beginning, we're like so highly motivated. We want to lose weight, for example, in just like a week's time or 2 weeks' time or a month's time, And, when they do that, they might probably lose weight in a very short period of time. But then, there are side effects to it in the future, because then you tend to, if you don't keep on practicing, if you don't keep on exercising or dieting the way you started off, then you would tend to put on in a faster way, and you would put on more, even sometimes double. So people have to like do some research sometimes, which is very important. I think researching is key to understanding a problem or a situation, to get the final answer or solution to that problem. That's what I think. And I'm sure Sister Uzma, you would like to add your viewpoint on this as well.
Yeah, thank you for asking. I think Sister Maliha has covered it beautifully. That it's a slow progress, and we have to be tracking our progress, and it's got to be small steps at a time. A lot of the times at the beginning of the year, people get really excited and have these big resolutions and things that they want to do, and there's a lot of beliefs that we're operating on. There's a lot of programming that goes on, which plays a gigantic amount of role in how we do or don't do our things, and without looking into that, without really kind of delving deep into what you're carrying and how that has an impact on you, it can be really, really difficult to make big steps. And I think this is where having this shift inside of ourselves and understanding ourselves at that deeper level is really, really important. And when it comes to goals, there is something from James Clear in Atomic Habits that he talks about, a lot of people have goals where they're outcome based. So when we're talking about losing weight, I want to lose 2 stones, for example, or, and then because of that, that's what I'm focused on. I'm focused on the outcome. And so the in between area is very lengthy. It takes a lot of effort. And then, of course, with all those beliefs and programmings, you can slip off very, very easily because the outcome seems like miles away. It's like if I had a goal to lose 2 stones within the year, within the first month, even if that, I will slip off. And, it's very, very hard to stay on top of that. The second way that people try to fulfill their goals is by going through the process. It's like, if I want to lose 2 stones, I'm going to go to the gym 3 times a week and I'm going to try to continue that. But even that is very painstaking. And, oftentimes, again, to do with the beliefs and the way that we're programmed, if we're not consistent, which more often than not, we're not, we slip off. And then that, again, is shame and guilt that we have to feel on top of the fact that we had to lose weight. And, it makes it even more difficult. So the best way to stick with the goals that you really, really want to do, especially in 2023, we have no excuse. I did a video about this the other day. Now there is information and there is support and there's absolutely everything we need literally at the palm of our hands. And so the best way is to have this identity shift within ourselves, is to say that if I am a person who wants to lose 2 stones in 2023, then I have to be the person who's already lost the 2 stones and then behave according to a person who's already had that shift already. So you're kind of basing it on the fact that that's the identity you are now wearing. That's the person you are now walking as, talking as, eating as. So every time you pick up that extra slice of anything that you shouldn't be having, you will think twice about it, because the identity that you are now owning will not allow you to set foot into something that you shouldn't be doing. Whereas if it's outcome based or if it's process based, it can be very lengthy, and even the identity can feel like it's lengthy, but the point is that you're already behaving like a person who's already achieved that thing. So that's really, really important to have that kind of an identity shift. I created this acronym called DEEN, DEEN, and it's a really simple way to kind of break things down. And so the D in DEEN would be dedication. So literally pick one thing that you are wanting to be dedicated towards. It can be anything that's a priority to you. So use the D to pick out and identify what is it that's the most important thing for you, and you want to dedicate yourself. And that requires all the different things that Sister Maliha is talking about, that I'm talking about, like small steps in progressing over time and having this identity shift. And then the first E is about the effort that you are going to put in achieving that, and that's your planning. So that's you basically sitting there and thinking about what is the amount of effort I'm going to put into this. And then the second E is about the energy. Do you actually have the level of energy that is required for you for the thing that you want to dedicate yourself to? Oftentimes we go into something without really realizing that we don't have the kind of reserve this thing is asking for. So just checking in on yourself, seeing what you've got on your plate. Do I actually have the space? Do I have the time? Do I have the energy? And if you do, whatever amount of energy you have, whatever amount of time you have, that is the time that you're going to make the plan to, in accordance to. And sometimes when we start thinking about this, it's really important to think about delegation, thinking about people that are around you and seeking the support, because most often than not, us women should be very comfortable at receiving, but more often than not, we're not very good at receiving. And so just, allowing yourself to, giving yourself the permission to have that conversation, to say, I'm going to pass this on to you because I'm really focused on doing this right now, and, opening up this pathway to do that. And then the N within the DEEN is the new thing that you will add as you're progressing. So whether it's a weekly basis, whether it's a fortnightly basis, what is your next step to continue monitoring your progress, to make sure that you're stepping up every single time. So if you want to use this acronym, and if it sounds helpful to you, feel free. It's DEEN, and then dedication, effort, energy, and what new thing are you going to add into keeping your progress in check, inshallah.
Thank you. I think that's excellent, and it's so easy to remember as well. And I hope that we can implement this in our everyday lives. I'm sure the viewers will also benefit from this. And you mentioned about the daily routine, right? Like what changes can we bring in our daily routine this year? So, for example, if we were to analyze what we did last year, was the last, like, is this year going to be the same as last year? What changes do I want to bring, in my daily routine? So, what would those changes be for you, Maliha?
Mine would be worshiping God more, and spending more time uh, uh, acquiring His qurbah. And I can give an example that before going to bed, all the time, no matter where you are, get into a position of sujood and recite the last part of Ziyarat Ashura, the part where we have to recite when we are in sujood, and always end your day with a tasbih of salawat and send it to everyone, even people who you personally dislike, which I have a list of, and just send it off and just empty yourself, and also send the blessings of salawat to people, all in God's name, to seek nearness towards Him, among many other things. But this is a good ritual that I have come up with, and I do it every night.
Okay, that's a good one to start off with. And what about Sister Uzma? What changes would you like to bring in your daily routine this year?
Uh, this year my plan is to slow down a little bit. I've been hustling for a while, and I feel like I need to really kind of go in and feel more rather than do more. We are human beings, and I feel like we're constantly human doings, and that can be a very exhausting thing. How I'm trying to do that is trying to really go in and see what I'm intrinsically motivated to do rather than extrinsically motivated to do. So really kind of checking in and seeing what I'm inspired naturally and internally. Where is my inspiration coming from? Where is my inner motivation, rather than me forcing myself, pushing myself? I need to do this. I have to do this. I have to get this place. I have to be that place. It's so exhausting at the end of the day that you feel like you've run and run and run, but you've achieved nothing. And sometimes it can just feel like you're constantly failing and just not meeting the goals that you've set. And it can, you could be setting yourself up for failing. But this intrinsic motivation is really about, it's coming from within you. And oftentimes this is a problem. And the viewers, I would love for you to kind of check in with yourself as well, that often the thing that we're great at is the thing that we take for granted the most. Because we're so good at it, we don't really see it as something great. We look at someone else and we look at that person, we say, she's able to do that, he's able to do this, I wish I could do that. And that's not your thing. And so for us to be able to realize what my uniqueness is, what my strength is, what my superpower is, and each and every single one of us without an exception has something that we're great at, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us drops of His attributes within us, and we carry those everywhere we go. But when we shut ourselves down from that and we look to other people because we want to mimic what everybody else is doing, we can lose our way very, very quickly. So the point is to really kind of slow down, go back in on yourself and feel the heart, feel like what you're carrying inside of you that is already something that, and I always say this as well, that when you are inspired to do something, it's not just you being inspired. Obviously, you being inspired itself is going to feed into yourself, and it's going to be good for you. But I feel like I don't know where this comes from, but I feel like when you are inspired to do something, someone in the world somewhere has asked for that thing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah then inspires the right person in the world to do it. Immediately take action, immediately put that out. And because that person who's looking for it will naturally and as if by magic gravitate towards the person who's going to be inspired to do that. But if we're not awake enough, if we're not in tune enough, if we're not aligned enough, if we're not calm enough, if we're not connected enough, we will lose those moments of understanding what we carry, and we will just try to do other things that are not our great superpower, and that's not our inspiration. And not only are you missing out of living a life that feels really calm and serene and beautiful, but that other person who asked for something is also missing out, because the only person in the world who could do it in the unique way that that person needed is you. That's why you were inspired to do it. So whenever you're inspired to do something, feel that this is a great thing and this is unique to me and I should take action. And when I say action, like, it doesn't mean that tomorrow you've got to go out there and launch a business or do something great, like, you know, write a book, because these things take a long time. But taking an action is literally like whatever comes to your mind. You can write a note about it, you can make a phone call about it, you can put it in your calendar as a reminder, you can write a few thoughts that are coming up, and, you know, whatever that looks like for you, take immediate action, because that inspiration came for a reason and you shouldn't neglect that. And really take the time to find out what your superpower is, so that you understand where you're headed with your own intrinsic motivation, inshallah.
May I add something, Sakina, if it's okay, if we have time?
Yeah, you can add a point, yes.
It's again, it's lovely how Sister Uzma mentioned the phrase taking action, because that is something as well that I'm working on for myself, and this is something that I would encourage to all of our viewers out there as well. Manifest, 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 because wallah, you truly, once you realize how powerful your thoughts are, you know, before, I remember sisters might used to tell me that your thoughts become your reality, and my first thought when I heard that was, oh yeah, sure, whatever. But then as I've realized that, oh my goodness, how true this is, you think twice before even having a negative thought. Manifest, everything is right here. It becomes reality once it leaves here, with his help, of course. And manifest the right things for yourself, the things that take you closer to Allah. And, you know, for instance, helping people, or anything, or starting a charity or anything like that. And then once he becomes a part of it, once you have that tawakkul in him, that okay, Allah, I have started this, now you take the wheel, and then wallah, you will see how things move forward. And I used to be someone who was set on stone. No, it's not happening. It's not moving forward until I make it move forward. No, sure, Allah helps, but I need to take the wheel first, and things like that. No, 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 no. You need to manifest and you let him deal with it. And then you see how things work out for you. And I've seen this happen in my own life, in my own personal life.
Alhamdulillah, it's true. You know, you need to help yourself, and that's how Allah then helps you. You know, He attracts you to more steps than you've imagined. And you know, I just want to add one point. You know, most of us, like, yeah, most of us basically, we tend to live in the moments that are in the past and in the future. Meaning, like, we're never living the present. Everybody, you know, is always visualizing what's going to happen tomorrow, what's going to happen next week, and you know, we're setting our schedules for the upcoming days, or we are thinking about the past, you know, digging into our past if someone did something to us, or I wish I could have done something when I was at a certain age. Then probably my life would have been different. My the goals that I want to achieve today might have been different. You know, maybe I would have been led in a different direction. Like, what I want to say is that even when it comes to social media, you know, we have more digital relatives rather than us giving time to our own family members at home, for example, or spending quality time with our children, or people who are basically with us, you know, present physically. Like, we are just, you know, physically present, but emotionally we're so absent. And I usually realize this, like, I sometimes get that mom guilt, because most of the time, you know, we're on our phones, and it's because of our duties and our work related stuff. And now you have to be on your phone, because if you're not on your phone, then you seem like you're disconnected from the world and what's happening. I think Sister Uzma had mentioned it somewhere that there are so many places you want to be, you want to attend, you want to know what's happening on your news feed. And it's like, you yourself sometimes get puzzled in that situation, that how can I keep a track of everything? There's so much happening at the same time, and I want to keep that knowledge and information, but I can't even do so much at the same time because everything's happening at the same time. And as parents, I think we fall into that guilt trap, that I'm sitting, for example, with my daughter next to me, and I'm on my phone sometimes, and I'm so like focused on what I'm making. Probably I'm making a poster, or I'm planning an event or something, and I just tell myself that these moments won't come back again. This age of hers won't come back again. So it's so important to sometimes, prioritize what we have in our hand at that time, to value and to prioritize, that moment. Even like there are people out there, I know, who are so busy in their lives that they have no time, literally. And you never know what the other person is going through on the other side, because obviously you've not spoken to them. A conversation is so important. Sometimes, like communication is everything. And I think that, if I were to make a change this year, in my life, it would be this, that I want to give more quality time to the present. What's happening right now with me? If I'm present in a place or in an event, rather than, posting pictures or scrolling and looking at other events, I should enjoy my time, keep my phone aside and just, enjoy the moment, the atmosphere, the aura of what's happening. That's so important. I feel like I missed out on this last year, or I don't know, or maybe a few years, but I want to work on this. And that's why now I have this very intriguing question. I think it's going to connect all of us more. That, do you think, will social media be the same addiction this year for the both of you as last year, or what changes are you both planning to make? So whoever wants to answer first can go ahead.
Wazambachi, you go ahead.
Jazakallah khair. So it's a beautiful question, and it's one that we're all consumed by, because social media is a plague that everyone, no matter where they are basically sucked in by, right? And there's nothing wrong with social media per se. I think that everything can be used in a positive way. It really depends on what we're doing with it, right? And for you to have this realization, I think it's a beautiful space to be, for you to think about how it's impacting your present. Because you're rightly saying that most of us are living either in the past or in the future. So to be in the moment and not be with hundreds of other people that you don't even know, that are random people from around the world, and neglecting the very person that's right next to you, who you love very much, and they love you very much, and they want to give you their energy, and you're not being able to receive or give energy, and you're giving the energy to someone that you don't even know. So just having that realization is such a powerful thing. But I think that we have to be clear on what we want. See, the problem with most people is that they're not even clear. It's like it's so autopiloted that it's like you wake up in the morning, and then your whole day is just like just goes the way it's always been, because no energy has been put into understanding how do you want your day to be, how do you want your week to be, how do you want this year to be, what are the short-term, long-term, mid-term, whatever goals, what are they, what do you want to do? If you had something to work towards, you couldn't spend hours and hours of your time on social media, because you're actually looking to achieve something and you're working through something, and that is a motivating factor for you to continue working towards that, right? But I think one of the things that I want to say before I give over to my dear sister is that we don't understand. Like, I call my energy sacred, because I'm really, really choosy about who I lend my energy to, because social media and some people and lots of situations and events and things are actually constantly consuming the energy, and I only have a certain amount of reserve of it in any given day. And if I'm not careful, I've given tons of energy to random strangers, or to things that do not serve me, or to things that aren't actually growing me internally. And I'm left with almost no reserve for the people who matter to me, and forget even that, to myself. Because if I'm not okay, and if I feel drained, and if I feel exhausted at the end of the day or in the middle of the day, then nothing that I have to do is ever going to be in balance. Like, I can't actually physically do it in the way that it could have been done, because I've actually given my energy to literally anybody who asks for it or doesn't ask for it. So one of the humble advice that I have for your listeners is that have clarity on what you actually want. Like, that's the base, right? You need to understand what it is that you want. But secondly, get so greedy about your energy, because it is not for everybody, and not everybody means well. And you have to, unless you become aware, people will suck it out of you. Like, there are so many vampires out there, and they are ready to take it from you at any given time. And if you are not careful, you cannot blame anybody else. It's not anybody else's fault. So, all that consumption, apart from the fact that it actually has an impact on our minds, like what we're consuming constantly, but the fact that it's actually draining us of the very, like, sacred, and the only currency that I actually choose to run on, like, not finances or anything else. It's the energy that actually keeps us going. And if we just give that away to anybody and everybody, we've got nothing left. Like, what are we working for?
Very true. I think you've summarized it really well, Sister Uzma. And I think we'll take an ending note from Sister Malihe on the same point, and then inshallah we will wrap our today's program. So, Sister Malihe, let us know your thoughts on this as well. I think it's such an important topic, a point.
I think that Uzma Bhaji did a fantastic job in taking the words right out of my mouth, what I was about to say. But a few things that I would like to add on my end is, you have such a beautiful energy. Project that energy through your social media, that kind of energy through your social media, to help other people if your social media is public. So, for example, sharing dua, sharing Islamic lectures, or even, pictures from the outside world, pictures of beautiful forests and stuff like that, rather than I'm having a bad day because I missed my bus, or life sucks, or things like that. Like, just use it as one of your platforms. Not necessarily be addicted to it. Let me be clear about that. Not necessarily be addicted to it. I'm not telling anyone to go and be an influencer. No, but use your platform to project your energy to help other people, and and as gentle reminders for yourself as well, not just for others, mostly for yourself as well. That's what I would like to add to what Uzma Bhaji said.
Yes, definitely, definitely. This is also something that I realized, that we really need to understand um, whom to prioritize and what to prioritize. Oftentimes we tend to neglect the most important things in our lives. Like, the way I said, we take things for granted. And sometimes there comes a moment in your life where I think sometimes God just tests you. So, he hits you with that sudden, you can say, I wouldn't say an attack or something, but like a self realization. And that when that hits you, your conscious realize that, oh my God, I didn't take this thing so seriously, and it has such an important impact on my life. So this was something that I wanted to add from my perspective. And I think that both of you have really highlighted vital points on today's program. And I think everybody would connect, would relate to the points that Sister Uzma and Malihe added. And once again, thank you so much for joining me on today's program. And I hope that people can really take lessons from today's program of assessing, reflecting, and planning their year 2023 to make it a better year. Yes, we need to really slow down because the world right now is just like boom, everything is going at a very fast speed, and it's like you don't even realize sometimes when it's morning and when it's nighttime, and what have you done, what have you achieved throughout the day, what did you do, like what was productive that you did. So we really need to slow down, and we need to assess and reflect on the things that we want to aim for this year. So I want to thank both of you for joining me on today's program. And if there is anything that you want to add as an ending on an ending note, then a one line or two line, then it's okay. We can take that and then we can end it.
I'll
You,
go if you don't mind. You just mentioned something really powerful about how coming to a realization that something was really impactful and we're kind of being tested by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Literally every single thing that happens in your life, particularly the difficult situations, are such a pure gift. And yes, there were nudges in between before the like big impact happened, and we didn't realize it because we weren't awake enough. So if you are in that space where things feel like they're falling apart, if you just stop and slow yourself down and just look in there, you will 1000% find the silver lining. You will find the lesson that you need to be teaching you, and you will also find the gift within it. It just takes you kind of looking within to find that there is beauty in everything that happens, inshallah.
Inshallah, inshallah. Thank you so much for joining on today's program. And inshallah, I wish you a very happy Rajab. This
sisters,
month will
Sister
be full of
Sakina.
shukran and amazing programs and jashan and celebrations. So inshallah, we remember each other in du'as. Maliha, sorry, I interrupted you. You wanted to add something.
Yes, I wanted to add something as well. That start this year, and not just this year, but for many other years to come, inshallah. Just thinking that, just not even thinking, knowing that God loves you so much. We see the world, we see the universe, we see space, we see the oceans, we see everything around us. What great of a being created everything, created all of this, and to just realize that that great being, he's in love with you. He loves you. So in his love, let go of the ego that you have. Well, this is the first note for me, above more than anyone else. Let go of the ego that you have, that toxic eye. It's always good to have an eye, but when you have that toxic eye, like I don't like this person is this, I judge this person, I judge this person, I judge this person, I judge this, whatever. Wallah, when you let go of all of this and just focus on the love that he has for you and the love that you need to have for him, life seriously becomes so light, and you feel extremely light as well. Dainty as a feather, I would say.
Definitely. Definitely. That's also a very powerful point that you've added. We don't realize, but most of the time that egoistic behavior somehow, just sort of pops out in our personalities. It happens. But yeah, thank you for mentioning this point. I'm sure that everybody would want to, make themselves better in this situation as well. Thank you so much, viewers, for joining on today's program. And I hope that all of you benefited by both the sisters, Sister Uzma Nakwi and Sister Malihe Elias. And I hope that all of you can take beneficial lessons for making this year a better year. And inshallah, we remember each other in du'as. Thank you so much. This is your host, Sakina Habib, signing off. Jazakumullah khair. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.